ladies and gentlemen, welcome to INTA's 138th annual meeting. Please welcome to the stage annual meeting co-chairs Peter Dernbach of Winkler Partners and Rick McMurtry of Turner Broadcasting Systems Incorporated.
All of this isn't for us. All of this is for all of you.
That's right, because I'm the one that gets to tell you we did it. We got 10,000 registrants this year. Yeah, that makes this the biggest INTA annual meeting ever. Take that, Josh and Mario.
Now, Rick, I think we should have something special for the 10,000th registrant.
Indeed, we do. We have a little special gift for the registrant after the program today for our 10,000th registrant.
Who is that?
Susan Kawaguchi from Facebook. For once, her procrastination paid off.
So congratulations, Susan, and congratulations to all of you for helping us reach this important milestone and make this annual meeting a historic first.
All right, with that, I would like to officially welcome you to the 138th International Trademark Association annual meeting. I am Rick McMurtry, Vice President and Associate General Counsel from Turner, and one of your co-chairs tonight.
And I'm your other co-chair, Peter Dernbach, partner at Winkler Partners in Taiwan. We're really excited to have you all here with us for the annual meeting, and we hope it's a great chance to learn more, make connections, and just have fun.
You know, Peter, when they told me I was going to be co-chairing with you, I have to tell you I was a little intimidated. You know, you're kind of a superhero when it comes to trademarks.
Yeah, Rick, I get that all the time. But I think it's the glasses, and mostly I just get that from kids.
Really? Because I always thought kids were a little more astute than that. You know, I always say you can count on kids to tell you the truth. In fact, we're counting on some kids to help us with our presentation today.
Welcome to Orlando, Florida.
Welcome to Orlando, Florida.
Welcome to Orlando, Florida.
Welcome to Orlando, Florida.
So I bet those kids wish they were here with us in Orlando, and I bet they'd have a lot of fun. And we hope that all of you get the chance to have a lot of fun over the next several days while we're here at the annual meeting. Because, you know, Orlando really is a magical place.
That's right. Where else do you get a magic castle?
The magic of the movies.
Or the magic of finding out that you're, well, magical. In fact, Peter, you know I have a magic power.
Do you, Rick?
Yeah, I sure do.
What is it?
I have this magic power of doing embarrassing things, and they don't embarrass me. But they embarrass the person I'm with. And
Really?
even though I told you I wasn't going to do it, I'm going to do it. I'm going to break out into my own musical number right now. You and me, but mostly me, are going to host the annual meeting. Me and you, but mostly you, are going to do all the work. Because I'm in-house and you're outside, and that's the way it works. It's going to be the best annual meeting, thanks to me and you, but mostly me.
That really was magical.
Thank you.
Thank you for that.
Thank you. All right, seriously, the meeting is truly one of the highlights of the year for all trademark professionals, and we're delighted that everybody's come from near and far to join us for this meeting. And we worked really hard to bring you some of your old favorites as well as some new innovations.
So we've got speed networking.
The exhibition hall.
And, of course, the committee meetings, where much of the substantive work is done for the association. Of course, one of the main reasons for coming to the annual meeting every year is to participate in the substantive sessions. And this year, we've worked really hard to bring together a great program for you. We have more than 35 sessions and over 230 table topics, bringing you the latest developments on cutting-edge issues from around the world. These include
the sharing economy,
branding issues that arise from the legalization of marijuana,
social media, the line between social media posts and advertising,
and scandalous or culturally sensitive trademarks.
God, how did you get that from my physique modeling days? It's nothing you wouldn't see poolside.
Yeah. But we do have a lot of the special events that you've all come to expect in addition to the substantive programming.
And you know, one of the things I'm looking forward to the most is the one that's coming up in a few minutes. It's our keynote from Diane Nelson. She's the president of DC Entertainment, president of Warner Brothers Consumer Products, and the president of Warner Brothers Interactive Entertainment. So she'll be here in a few minutes, and we're really looking forward to that. But beyond that, the sessions, there are also some special events to help bring people together, which you will not want to miss.
So those include the regional receptions, the committee meetings, the excursions, as well as our grand finale, which this year will be held at Universal Studios. And while this may seem to have appeared all by magic, it really took the hard work of a lot of people. So we want to take this time to give a special thanks to some of the many people who made this all possible. First, we'd like to thank our sponsors.
Yep. And we would especially like to thank our project team. There are over 40 people who've put in countless hours to develop the programming and bring you all the best in substantive programming for this year's annual meeting. In particular, we'd like to thank our project team leaders.
So Andy Abrams, who handled industry breakouts.
My good friend, Aaron Hennessy Davidson, for U.S. programming.
Megan Martin, who's handling the coordination for those 230 table topics.
And who just had a baby, by the way. Oh, she's not here. But Charles Chabon for international programming.
And Rachel Tan for the regional updates.
Thank you guys very much. And finally, we want to give our heartfelt thanks to the INTA staff who really does all the work. We just stand up here and look good.
Well, some of us stand up here, and some of us look good.
No, especially Tricia Simpson and her team who helped arrange all the logistics for the largest annual meeting ever. And of course, our superhero, Sarah O'Connell, who puts all the programming together, put this together. They are truly two Wonder Women. They truly are.
And among their many superpowers is the superpower of herding cats. So we really would like to thank Tricia and Sarah.
Awesome.
Now, through all of this, the educational programming, the networking opportunities, the receptions and special events, we hope that each and every one of you are able to identify and further develop your own trademark superpower. And of course, we hope after the meeting, you'll continue to go forth and use those powers for good.
You know, Peter.
Yep.
I remember when we first met.
Really, Nerd?
Yep.
Where was that?
There's an INTA annual meeting at a cocktail party, I'm pretty sure.
Which year was that?
I think it was the INTA annual meeting in Gotham.
Really?
Mr. Wayne. Clark Kent, Daily Planet.
Oh, my foundation has already issued a statement in support of books.
Sir.
Wow. Pretty girl. Bad habit. Don't quote me.
I remember that too now, Rick. And you know what? You were right all along. I'm no longer going to hide my true identity.
Same here, Peter. Oh, I forgot that Batman doesn't wear his uniform under his regular clothes.
Welcome.
Please welcome to the stage.
Please welcome to the stage.
Please welcome to the stage.
INTA CEO.
INTA CEO.
Etienne.
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 This is hard.
Etienne. Sanz.
Acedo.
Sanz Acedo.
Please welcome to the stage INTA CEO Etienne Sanz de Acedo.
Perfect. That's weird though.
Now it works. You know what? Now I'm starting to think that Rick and Peter are also responsible for that. That's the only way to understand it. Anyway, it's really a pleasure to have you all here, and I would like to certainly start by welcoming you all and making a few thank yous. I should start, of course, by thanking our two co-chairs, the devil and the angel, or the angel and the devil, Rick, Peter, Rick. I don't know exactly what I should say. What I would say is next time, Sarah, please ask me before choosing the co-chairs for the annual meeting. I also would like to thank INTA staff. Without all of them, it would be impossible to be here. And finally, of course, I would like to thank all of you. Being here, more than 10,000 attendees is really incredible. And I would like, of course, to thank all our sponsors, and in particular our platinum sponsors, Abu Ghazaleh, Patrick's, and Velcro companies. Now, of course, I have the boring part of this opening ceremony. I have to talk about figures, and those of you who know me know that I love figures, so I'm going to shoot quite a few figures over the next 10 minutes. Let me start with what has happened over the last 12 months at INTA. We have had new committees, we have a new committee structure, we have 37 committees in total, more than 150 subcommittees, and we have 12 new committees and 3,044 volunteers. In addition to new committees, we have had revised bylaws, and this is about transparency, it's about accountability, and it's about good governance. And that's truly a priority for the association. And this is why we have new bylaws and we have codes of policies. But in addition to that, we have a growing membership, and we should be extremely proud of that. And just to provide you some figures, currently, we're not anymore 30,000 individuals. We're 31,727 individuals. That means that just last year, we had more than 604 organizations joining the association, and that means that we have had 144 companies and firms that have decided to incorporate to the association as many locations as possible. We also had different locations and different topics over the last year. We had our first ever leadership meeting in Panama. Remember Wi-Fi connection? Remember waiting time at the lifts? But there was a lot of great things behind that, and Panama was extremely successful. We had 1,134 members participating in that meeting. We also had our first ever trademark administrators and practitioners meeting in Alicante. And there we had more than 250 registrants. But more importantly, we had more than 100 people that had never come to this kind of meeting, and they decided to join. We more recently had our Brands and Sports Conference in New York. And the great thing about that is that we had almost 40 countries represented in that conference, and we had all kinds of profiles, not just IP professionals. And finally, we had our GI conference back in December last year, where for the first time we were trying to find a compromise in different positions, and that is certainly something that we should continue to develop in the future. In terms of our resources, we have our loved trademark reporter, and for the first time last year, we opened it to multilingual publications. And we are now accepting more and more articles in other languages that we will, of course, continue translating into English so that we can all follow what's going on worldwide. We also have an international guide on geographical indications, on certification, on collective marks. Currently, it covers 20 jurisdictions. There are going to be soon 9 more. And finally, we're currently working on an enforcement database or searchable guide that should be launched by November 2016, and it will cover 35 different jurisdictions. In terms of global outreach, let me share with you some of the places where we've been over the last 12 months. Argentina, Brazil, Cambodia, Canada, just a week ago, Chile, China, Cuba, India, Japan, Laos, Peru, Singapore, South Korea. It's quite impressive. Now, if we look at what has happened in the United States, we now have a Congressional Trademark Caucus. When we started less than a year ago, we just had 4 co-chairs. Today, we have 19 members of Congress. And in less than a year, we have had 6 hearings that have been requested by Congress so that INTA members can train staff on issues that are relevant to brand owners. We've also had strong interaction, of course, with the White House and the executive agencies, and we have a regular interaction with all IP associations. We meet on a quarterly basis, we share agendas, we do joint statements. If we move into the European Union, over the last 12 months, we've been providing comments to the changing EU trademark regulation and directive. We've been submitting comments to the EU IPO, not easy to pronounce, by the way, strategic plan. And most recently, we have provided joint statement to DG Taxud on the issue of goods in transit. And by the way, next year, more or less at this same time, we will be in Barcelona. If we look into the Asia-Pacific region, as you know, we have recently opened our rep office in Singapore, and that really helps us in increasing our interaction with different officials, governments, IP offices in that part of the world. Just recently, we met with the Cambodian office, Indonesia, Laos, Malaysia, Philippines, Singapore. Many of those are present here at our annual meeting. We also had our regular delegations to India, to China. We're going to take, for the first time ever, our board of directors to Beijing in September. And last but not least, in 2020, we will be celebrating our annual meeting in Asia. In Latin America, we have a close interaction with many IP offices there. We're currently working on an impact study on the value of trademarks to GDP, employment, and social welfare in 5 countries in Latin America: Colombia, Chile, Mexico, Panama, and Peru. And we are already working in our due diligence to make sure that we will be able to open a rep office in Latin America in 2017. And last but not least, it has taken us 20 years to go back to Africa, but finally we're making it. We're going to have a conference in Africa in September this year, and this is the starting point to do more in that region. All that is great. That's what has happened. But now we need to look at another issue, which are the challenges that are ahead of us. And there are at least 5 big challenges. The first one is about harmonization and simplification of registration procedures. It's, of course, about the Madrid Protocol, it's about the Singapore Treaty, but more importantly, it's about harmonized laws and practices. And that is about having a consistent and reliable registration experience no matter where you are. It's also, of course, counterfeiting. And just to share some figures with you, the total value of counterfeited trade in 2013 has gone as much as $461 billion, which represents around 2.5% of global trade. That is huge. Just to give you a reference, it's similar to the GDP of either Austria or Thailand or the United Arab Emirates. There are more challenges, of course. And among these challenges, we have Internet, where we can see that today around 40.7% of world population is connected, where more than 2 million users are using smartphones, and where the global value of B2C has gone up to $1.5 trillion US. And of course, we have plain screens, like we have plain packaging. This is about tobacco today, but where is it going to go? And last but not least, we have a very strong anti-IP sentiment. And we feel that sometimes with consumers, with society at large. We feel that with media that do not really understand the value of IP. And finally, we feel that with our lawmakers, who certainly do not always understand the benefit of a strong IP protection. In addition to those challenges, we are living in a changing world where we have weak economies, where we have political instability, where we have climate change. When we look at, the world economy, there is huge unemployment in some regions, there is very strong underemployment, and just look at the oil prices, how it has been going up and down over the last year and a half. If we talk about political instability, in 3 years, we have had more government collapses than in 10 years prior to that. And more importantly, today, every day, there are 42,000 people that are being moved as a consequence of wars, as a consequence of terrorism. That represents around 60 million people a year, and that's even more than the total displacement during World War II. And finally, we have climate change. By 2020, the water demand is going to exceed the supply by more than 30%. And that means that if action is not taken, in around 80 years from now, our global GDP is going to be going down by 23%. And we have also a changing society. We have the millennials, we have the Generation Z or the Generation Z, depending how you want to pronounce that, and we have the baby boomers. If you look at the millennials, it's going to be half of the global workforce by 2020. If you look at the Generation Z, they're all born in the digital age, they're all globally connected, and again, by 2020, they're going to be representing around 40% of the global population. And it's great to talk about millennials, it's great to talk about Generation Z, but we should not forget the baby boomers. Because today, they're extremely influential. Because today, they have the strongest purchasing power. And because they're getting older, their needs are changing, and the companies need to change. As a result of all that, we could perhaps talk, like Davos Forum was mentioning, that we are facing the fourth industrial revolution. And this is about the Internet of Things, it's about cloud computing, it's about artificial intelligence and virtual reality. Again, two figures that might explain that. 47% of jobs in the US by 2020 might be automated. But at the same time, 3 billion citizens will be joining the digital economy. There is a challenge, there is an opportunity. Now, does that affect INTA? Yes, of course. It affects our members, it does affect INTA. And this is why we need to start looking into our next strategic plan. Some of you might think it's a little early, but no, it's not. It takes a lot of time, and also it takes a lot of consultation, because we want to make sure that it's as receptive as possible, as inclusive as possible, and it needs to be forward-thinking. And in order to be forward-thinking, we need to ensure that, of course, we consult our members, you, the board, the staff, the IP community in general, but we also need to consult the non-IP community, the lawmakers, the academics, the business people, the marketers, and the consumers, of course. In order to do that, we need to make sure that we engage with today's and with tomorrow's consumers. We need to listen to them. We need to learn from them. And this is why I would like you to listen to what some kids have to say about brands. Thank you very much and enjoy.
A company that makes products and services.
A brand is a company that calls their product a name.
Like a product made by a company.
Can you do that one more time? I gotta get this down pat.
A brand is a non-generic name for something.
A name given to a certain company or product.
I think brand is something that conveys certain information to the consumer and markets.
My favorite brand would have to be Apple.
Nintendo.
H&M. Hollister.
I guess I'm gonna say Zara because I'm wearing it.
What's your favorite brand? My favorite brand is Under Armour.
Adidas.
I'm gonna get this one. I'm gonna get it.
Different choices and variety. Fun, creative, and cool.
Different and original.
Original video games, accessible.
I had 3 words and I can't remember now. Pretty, classic, and unique.
The design, their products, and how they think.
What was my other word?
Stylish, cool, and hip.
I'd say yes, I do have a personal brand.
No, not really.
I think I have a personal brand, but it's not very different from other people's.
Nope.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I think so, because everybody has a personal brand now.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, I would say my singing and my voice would be my own brand.
Yes. I don't know.
Intelligent, determined, and different.
Fun and original.
Unique, young, and relaxed.
I don't know.
Working out, traveling, photography.
Sporty. I like airplanes. I like technology, and I'm curious. Creative, outgoing, and funny.
Inspiring, unique, and opportunities.
Please welcome to the stage.
Please welcome to the stage
INTA President
Ronald Van Tuijl.
Tuijl.
Van Tuijl.
Ronald Van Tuijl.
Towel.
Van Tuijl.
Tuijl.
Please welcome to the stage INTA President
Ronald Van Tuijl.
Very good. That's like even worse.
Hello, everyone. What do these 3 things have in common?
Any ideas? Well, the answer is personal branding. And let me explain. So whether or not you're a fan of Taylor Swift, you've likely seen news articles complimenting her business sense. Her success in business is entrenched in a very smart approach to personal branding, and she does a couple of things very well. People like to connect with people, and the best brands make personal connections with their audiences. Taylor Swift has built a brand that not only defines her talent, but her personality too. Her talent is a given. You just heard the song. She is a very successful writer, co-writer sometimes, and performer of her own songs, and to much critical acclaim. But she's also well known for supporting upcoming artists, and she connects with her fans on a very personal basis. Taylor Swift identifies fans both on and offline, and she interacts with them personally. She is known to have called a sick fan on Skype, and she sent Christmas presents to fans that she took the time to wrap personally. Her generosity and goodwill are a huge part of her personal brand. Taylor Swift knows that personal branding is a part of everyday business. That how you represent yourself can severely affect your business, because people buy from people they like and trust. So at 26 years old, Taylor Swift is not only worth an estimated $80 million US, she's considered to be one of the world's most influential women. These are my grandparents. My grandfather was a silversmith, so this is someone who crafts objects from silver. And this is my grandfather's master stamp. And here are some of the items that he produced. And this is the mark, so that's the tip of this little thing here. Like trademarks, these marks indicate the product's maker and quality, and they enable consumers to shop with confidence. This mark represents my grandfather's craftsmanship, and it is a simple yet profoundly critical marketing tool. It has transported his reputation to his many clients, and I actually recently found out that that included Dutch royalty. And you could say that this was my grandfather's personal brand and his livelihood. And today, savvy business people like Taylor Swift have embraced personal branding as a marketing fundamental, and they've become very successful in doing so. But I like to ask the question, are we not all in the business of marketing all the time? I mean, many of you here in Orlando are marketing a product or a service. You may also be marketing yourself, maybe for a next job opportunity. You may be marketing an idea, a system, or a reason, an excuse. But above all, the one thing we're all marketing is ourselves. Because whenever we interact, we are ultimately marketing. And in every instance, you're marketing yourself first. And if you can't market and sell yourself, I won't buy you or anything else that you hope to sell to me. But once I get to know and trust you, chances are I will buy from you. So this leads us to the $1 million question. How do we stand out so that we're selected? And I believe the answer is personal branding. So, what is a personal brand? You just got some interpretations from the kids. Everyone has a personal brand. Even if you don't believe, you think you have one. And for those of you who believe you're not in the business of marketing yourselves all the time, well, that's also part of your personal brand. I mean, your personal brand is in the way you walk. I shouldn't be walking while I do that anyway. The way you look, the way you talk. It's how you interact with people. It's the tone of your voicemails, of your emails. It's your business card. It's your website. It's your Facebook profile of when you still had hair as a 4-year-old. It's your LinkedIn profile. It's also your tweets. It's every message you communicate. And it's your reputation, which determines what people think when they come into contact with your messages. So what can we do to build our personal brand? Well, let me offer you 3 tips. In their book, Funky Business, the authors Jonas Ridderstrale and Kjell Nordstrom refer to the spread of business cliches as the surplus society. And I quote, "A surplus of similar companies, employing similar people with similar educational backgrounds, coming up with similar ideas, producing similar things with similar prices and similar quality." How do we stand out? How do we leave a lasting impression? Why does that potential new client choose to call you? Well, you must know what makes you stand out from all the others who do what you do. And it could be your specialized knowledge in a niche area, and I know many of you who have that knowledge. But it could also just be your unique way of producing results. And it may be your sense of humor, or your professional blog. It might be a personality characteristic, trait, or quirk. But if what you do and how you do it is no different from your peers, you have very little leverage. So take a step back and figure out what makes you unique, because it's probably what makes you relevant too. And as Oscar Wilde said, be yourself. Everybody else is taken. But building your personal brand is not only about making yourself relevant. You need to be relevant to the relevant people. And these are the decision makers, those who influence them, and the people you need to surround yourself with so that you can deliver results. And it's not about being famous. The whole world doesn't need to know you. Be selective. Endeavor to be known by those people who need to know you, those who will ultimately help you to achieve your goals. Build a network in which you are both relevant and surrounded by people who are relevant to you. Now, while your network is who you know and who knows you, your reputation is what people know about you. Your reputation determines how people react when they see you, when they hear your name, or when they read one of your messages. For Taylor Swift, her reputation is not just her talent as a singer-songwriter. It's her personal touch, the time she invests in her fans. And for my grandfather, it is the quality of his silverware, and it's represented by the maker's mark that he leaves on his product. And for both of them, it's their goodwill and the promise of continued goodwill. Your reputation, your name, and goodwill are at the core of your personal brand. And as trademark lawyers, we're all acutely aware of the value of brands. I mean, we spend our waking hours protecting them. Well, your reputation is your most prized asset. Protect it. And to quote Warren Buffett, I knew I was going to say it wrong. That's the European guy, right? A reputation takes a lifetime to build and seconds to destroy. So why is personal branding so important to us? Well, when you are in private practice, you're also marketing yourself when you pitch to a client. And your personal brand may be the reason why that client selects your firm over the reputation of the firm. And your personal brand also determines what your internal career path from associate to, hopefully, partner will look like. And likewise, for in-house counsel like myself, your personal brand is very important. Your reputation, your network, and your relevance can influence your internal impact and your internal career path. And it can also provide you with external opportunities that you, and maybe also your company, may benefit from. So all in all, being aware of and working on your personal brand is not just good for you, it's ultimately also good for your business. Now, as we all know, INTA is a brand. But it's also a community of brand owners and trademark professionals. It's the collective representation of all of us here in this room. its members. And in that sense, INTA is actually very similar to the guilds that were first established hundreds of years ago. This is where I grew up. Almost. My grandparents lived very close to that tower, by the way. It's a small town in the Netherlands called Schoonhoven. And it's renowned for its silverware, and actually it's called Silvertown. My grandfather was a member of its Silver Guild, which was established more than 150 years ago. And the guild protected its members' welfare. It provided education, and it promoted silver from Schoonhoven. It also served to educate the public of that trade. And it controlled the quality of the products coming from Schoonhoven by setting standards and issuing master stamps such as this one. And the guild certainly played a role in protecting my grandfather's personal brand. Sounds familiar? Well, I think this is very comparable to INTA. I mean, INTA also educates its members. And when we advocate to governments around the world on the key issues affecting our industry, we are not only leveraging the INTA brand, we are leveraging our collective reputations, our collective personal brands. And this is how we influence the laws that govern our work, the brands we work so hard to protect, and indeed, the consumers that rely on them. And this, of course, speaks to the heart of INTA's mission. So imagine what we can accomplish if we're all working on our personal brands. Sound personal branding is not only good for us, our firms, our brands, our careers, our companies, it's also good for the association, and ultimately also for the IP community. Now let me offer you one final tip, a bonus, if you like. I told you that personal branding is about being relevant, not about being famous. So in my interpretation, you therefore don't need to talk about your personal brand. Rather, build it, believe it, live it. And that said, I think it would now be quite presumptuous to talk about my own personal brand. And to some of you, I may just be the guy with the glasses and the unpronounceable surname, but that's a bit too one-dimensional, right, for a personal brand. As I have told you, personal branding is in how you walk, talk, and dress. So let me say nothing more than this about my personal brand. You may not remember everything I've said tonight, but I think you're going to remember the fact that I was wearing a tuxedo while saying it. Now, that's good personal branding. Thank you.